Looking up and down the table then, Andy, for our next segment on Pro Soccer Talk this week. Match week 27. Let's give our predictions for all 10 games, preview the games coming up. First up, let's look at the title race. Fulham against Arsenal, Crystal Palace against Man City, and then I guess we can include Man United, Southampton. United still being in the title race, be it very much outsiders after that big defeat to Liverpool. But Fulham Arsenal, we said it could be a potential for Arsenal to drop a few points there, but it does feel like destiny is working in their direction right now. There's a hunger about this Arsenal team. So do we expect them to take care of business at Craven Cottage?
Yeah, I do. But I think they'll be challenged. Fulham have a way of keeping the ball and frustrating teams and really making them work defensively. And when you've got to expend as much energy as you do to take the ball off of Fulham, it takes a little bit away from what you do going forward. And so I think ultimately the high press of Arsenal will give them trouble, kind of the way that Brentford did a week ago. But Fulham are no pushovers in the Premier League this time. And for anybody that remembers them the last time they were in the Premier League a couple of years ago, they were certainly pushovers. And so it's been a fantastic rise under Marco Silva this season. I think they'll get close, but I think they'll probably fall 2-1.
Yeah, I agree with that. Crystal Palace, Man City, again, Palace are struggling. I mean, they're 9 games without a win in the Premier League, which is the longest winless run right now in the division. And Man City just kicking up the energy. Guardiola said he loves what he's seen in training. Wasn't pretty really against Newcastle. Wasn't their free-flowing best, but to me, they just seem to be able to find a way and have enough players in form. Grealish, Foden, De Bruyne, Haaland obviously is always good for a goal to just get it over the line right now. So it's going to be closer than we probably all think, but I'm going to go for maybe a 2-0 to Man City at Crystal Palace. That seems about right and could be a scoreline for a lot of their games between now and the end of the season. But any arguments with that?
No, I don't see how you can. And 9 games without a win. At what point does Patrick Vieira come under a little bit of question with his job? Because they were so good in the first half of the season and put themselves in a really strong position, and they have just slipped and slipped and slipped down the table spot by spot since then, and to the point you could almost say that they're in the relegation scrap at this point. So yeah, it does feel like City have so much firepower and so much talent going forward that I think they'll get over the line with this one.
Yeah, and Man United Saints, intriguing. You think it's going to be a draw, right, at Old Trafford? Yeah. Maybe a good time for Saints to go to United after they just see how they react to that big defeat away at Liverpool. We're not quite sure, but I think United will probably get it over the line. But yeah, give me the reasons why you think Saints might nick a point at Old Trafford.
Well, it's a lot of the same reasons that we talked about last weekend as the 5-0 and 6-0 and 7-0 was happening at Anfield. Was this team has played a ton of games in a very short period of time and effectively played 12 or 13 starters for between all of those games. And at some point, you don't run out of gas, but the sharpness starts to fall off and the legs get a little bit heavier. And it's just not the same game in and game out. And you come up against a team with the quality of Liverpool, a team that can punish you in the way that they do to a lot of teams, and you get a result like that. And so I just wonder a little bit, with Europa League still continuing for United, and obviously that's a priority competition for them this season, a chance at another trophy, a better chance at a trophy than the Premier League now, that that might take a little bit of precedence from now until the rest of the season in Erik ten Hag's mind. If he can bag 2 trophies, or maybe even 3 in his first season at Manchester United, not only does he buy himself a lot of time, but he reestablishes United as maybe the club to go to for any incoming player. So by the way, +6 goal difference for United this season, which is incredible, because you look at Arsenal and City above them, 34 and 41 in first and second.
Yeah, pretty solid for Man United. So it'd be intriguing to see how Saints do. They've been on an upturn in recent weeks, down in the relegation scrap to drag loads more teams into it. The top 4 hunt: Bournemouth against Liverpool, Tottenham against Nottingham Forest, and Newcastle against Wolves. I mean, Bournemouth, Liverpool, they'll be flying after that result against United. So it seems the way Bournemouth are struggling, especially the way they lost after being 2-0 ahead at Arsenal last time out, losing 3-2 right at the death like they did. It seems like an easy Liverpool win. Obviously, they hammered Bournemouth 9-0 at Anfield early in the season. I feel like, they'll be happy to be going to Bournemouth this weekend. Tottenham against Nottingham Forest. How are Tottenham going to react to that disappointing Champions League exit in midweek? A lot of questions around Antonio Conte's future, Harry Kane's future, Richarlison talking out. There's a lot going on at Spurs right now. So I don't know, Nottingham Forest are the favourites, but if you're looking around the league and saying where is there going to be an upset this weekend, that's probably one of the first places you're going to look, right, Andy?
Yep, it
Yeah.
sure is. You say, how will they react? They will react with 5 defenders on the field, a couple of midfielders in there, and hope for individual brilliance from Harry Kane, who can do it most days. For Son Heung-min to find some form and to find some shot conversion. Well, I think it was 27% shot conversion last season, 6% this season. It just, really, really shows the fall off that he has experienced. Kulishevsky, Richarlison, neither one of them have really gotten started this season. I think the tactics have a lot to do with it. And sadly, the tactics are not changing until the manager is changed. And so I don't see how these sleepy performances change for Spurs until Conte goes.
What do you think of a draw then? Maybe Spurs against Forest? Like that?
Well, they'll grind out a 1-0 probably because that might just be enough to keep him in the job for another week or two and delay the inevitable, delay what needs to happen.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think Forest, they're not exciting to watch, but they're grinding out results and they'll be deep defensively. So that will frustrate Tottenham further. But I think Harry Kane or Son or someone will come up with something to get him a tight win there. Newcastle Wolves. I'm going to go for Wolves in this one. And I don't think it's that much of an upset. I think actually Wolves are on the upturn. They'll frustrate Newcastle. Newcastle goal scoring problems galore. They were good against Man City for spells, created a lot of good chances, but it's been the same for months now for Newcastle. Unless Almiron is having one of those little purple patches like he did earlier in the season that drove a lot of their 1 and 2-0 wins. I just don't see Newcastle really finishing the season that strongly. So I'm going with Wolves. I think Traore and some of the other players are picking up some good form. So that's what I'm going with for that one. Relegation scrap, Andy. Let's focus on that. Everton against Brentford, Leicester against Chelsea, West Ham against Villa, and Leeds against Brighton. Some big games there down at the bottom for those teams. Let's start with Everton against Brentford because Brentford have been in great form. Obviously, brilliant win against Fulham last time out. But for Everton as well, they're figuring it out right under Sean Dyche. Don't have a striker, but have a lot of great attacking midfielders breaking from central midfield, causing problems. So I don't know. This feels like maybe a draw at Goodison. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, because it's at Goodison, I think Everton have got a chance at a point in this one. But I watched Brentford very closely last weekend against Fulham, and the way that they just relentlessly chased and hounded and they have got to be one of the most frustrating teams to play against because you look at the squad and just say, okay, there's some solid, talented players in there, probably lower half Premier League caliber players. But the way that they work and the way that they play together and the way that they just never give you a breath to take, it's why they are where they are in the top half of the table. And so I think they have a lot of the relegation teams between now and the end of the season. They're going to play a pretty significant role, I think, in whoever ends up going down. And I think they'll probably pick a lot of those teams off. And yeah, if it wasn't at Goodison, I would pick them to win here. But so I'll go with a 1-1 draw just because I don't think Everton have it in them to score more than one goal. And Brentford will certainly get something.
Watch out for set-piece goals in that game. Both teams are very good at set pieces. Leicester against Chelsea. Going with Chelsea, I think obviously the midweek win against Dortmund, they were excellent. Beat Leeds recently, last time out in the Premier League. Defensively solid. Looks like Havertz, Sterling, they're just starting to click through the gears. And Graham Potter, especially midfield, Kovacic and Fernandes, I think, are striking up a really good partnership. And at the back, Fofana and Badiashile as well. Just through the spine of the team, with Kepa playing so well in goal. They don't look like they're going to concede many, and I think they've got enough quality now to win games. So I'm going to go for a fairly comfortable 2-0 win for Chelsea. I think Leicester, on the flip side, struggling. They create a lot of chances, just can't put them away. We're unlucky to lose at Southampton last time out, but some worrying trends, some worrying noises coming from the King Power Stadium at the moment. West Ham Villa, what do you think about this one? Because talking about worrying, West Ham have been dragged into this relegation scrap, and Villa are the kind of team that will just sit back and pick them off on the counter. And I kind of like Villa in this one to cause more pain for David Moyes, especially sandwiched in between a Europa League tie for West Ham. Yeah,
very streetwise is how I would describe Aston Villa right now. very happy to take what you give them. And to see a West Ham team that's very much limping into this one this weekend on the back of 4-0 against Brighton, they quit in that game. They quit on David Moyes. And I think I put it into the group chat afterwards. Don't be surprised if he goes tonight, because it was that type of performance. And obviously he's still in the job now, and we will see how they respond once again under him. But I just very, very similar vibes to what we've seen at Spurs. So I back Villa to take this one, and maybe comfortably as well. I'll say 2-0.
Well, yeah, fair enough. I can see that on the counter. A few goals. Ollie Watkins has been flying. Villa looks solid, and West Ham just, yeah, it's unbelievable they're in this position with the squad that they have right now, the players they were able to sign over the last couple of windows, and where they finished the last 2 years. I just can't quite believe they're in a relegation battle, but they are, and they are really struggling at the moment. Leeds-Brighton is the last game to look forward to in week 27 for us. I'm going to go Brighton. I think Brighton, because they've been so good, right? I mean, De Zerbi's done a fantastic job. Attacking, they just blow teams away. And Leeds, they have some good attacking players of their own, but just defensively have so many issues with them. Javi Gracia has done a better job making them more organised, but I can't see past the Brighton win here. Is that fair to say? Any hope for Leeds?
Brighton are really, really, really good. And I think it's as simple as that. Like, Leeds have their issues, but Brighton are really good. And they're a European chasing team all on their own merit. And so, yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward in this one. I have so many questions about so much at Leeds, about what the approach is, what the mindset is, with so much change that's occurred at that club this season. It feels like if there is a truly big team in the Premier League this season that's going to go down, it kind of feels like it's going to be Leeds.
Wow, that would be happy news for the USMNT fans listening, but we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens. A lot of twists and turns, not just this weekend, but for the rest of the season. And we will keep you updated on Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com with all the latest from around the league.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.